So I'm Blanche Cameron. I teach at the Bartlett School of Architecture at UCL, and I've been there since 2013 on a relatively part-time basis until the last 6 or 7 years. Um, and my background, I started in running a community centre in Covent Garden. I then went to do my foundation art course, thought I was going to do theatre design, ended up doing architecture, went to architecture school, worked in a concrete factory my year out in Paris, then went back to architecture school, went to Berlin, started working in architecture practices. When oh my God, I've got to sit indoors all day in front of a screen or a drawing board, as it was then for me. It was 100 years ago. And went to work as a builder at the Centre for Alternative Technology, where I worked on the information centre for 2 years, from digging foundations to building large timber frame, to topping it out, to roofing work, to insulation work, painting, etc. And I'm a very practical person, and I love skills and learning skills. And now I'm teaching, which is an absolute massive privilege. So I get to work with lots of young people who keep telling me about what's happening in the world, and then I try and support them to do what they need to do or what they want to do. Which is what I always wanted when I was at college. And you meet one or two people, but you might, the opportunity when you're in an educational setting. So why that relates to today is where I teach in what is called the built environment professions. We need architects and landscape architects and structural engineers and planners and all those professional people, as though a gardener isn't a professional, right? What do we mean by built environment professionals? As though an ecologist isn't a built environment professional or can't be. There's something interesting there about how we turn these things of who has status and power and who doesn't. And where I'm very interested in is empowering students to have power within the university and doing something about it, but also training people within those the design end of things to understand what is needed at the end of the day, because we can have all the best biodiversity designs and the best maintainers and the gardeners and carers, but if the buildings and the landscapes aren't designed properly, as we saw with Chris's catastrophic photos just now, but also I'll mention something during this brief interlude here. I'm working with some of these amazing people, but also a whole bunch of other people who come into UCL and train students on this module that I set up in 2019, called the Green in Cities module, which is an elective across UCL. So anybody can take it, whatever course they're on. It's housed within the architecture school, so about half of them are coming from architectural and interdisciplinary studies program, and the other half are coming from languages, from biosciences, from politics, from all kinds of things. So we get a brilliant, about 35 students a year on this interdisciplinary module. And what we do is look at how we are going to retrofit green our cities to adapt to climate change and restore nature, restore biodiversity. We go out to John Little's. If you've never been to Hilldrop, you must go. The wildlife gardens there are an absolute lesson. That is a 30-year research centre that no university could have afforded to buy or pay for, let alone have the vision 30 years ago to do. And that is why John Little, it changes people's lives when they go there. And him and Fiona are just phenomenal people anyway. And they get hands-on learning. So this whole thing about being practical and building, I've taught communities how to build reciprocal frame timber roof structures. I've done it on the Mall in Washington. I've done it in Machynlleth in Mid Wales. But what you know is when you get practical skills, it changes your life. So if you get an opportunity to go and do something practical, which is what we're going to be focusing on with the training in a second as well. So students actually get to hang out, discuss the techniques, learn from the experts. It's the connected curriculum aspect, if you like, not just the theory. Here's some of the practicality coming in at UCL. This is Mark Gardner, who works in estates. He comes in and teaches on the academic program. This is what we also need to do, is link up academics with estates and other people, facilities managers, to come in and train people. Why is it separated, academia from non-academic education? So that's all part of it. And then the connected curriculum is where students get to do something actually practical. And this was a couple of years ago with the amazing Wendy Allen up front left there. You can see John waving from the back and some other people from facilities and estates. And we put in 2 rain planters we disconnected a downpipe Hannah Biggs in the estates team came to me and said, I've got a perfect place for it. Nobody will ever know or care that we've put these 2 rain planters in. And then once it's on campus, we've got the example. We can take everybody there to show them. So we just hatched this plan. We had to deliver it within 2 months from getting the money to delivery and finishing it, which when we didn't even have a design or anything like that. So, but Wendy, who also teaches on Greening Cities, she's brilliant, as somebody mentioned earlier. So just the practicalities of getting examples in and onto the campus. This is the Student Centre green roof. This only went up about 7 years ago. It's a almost £100 million building, and it was supposedly have this green roof on it. It's on Gordon Street, right in the heart of Bloomsbury. And we had an idea to refurbish this green roof because we obviously thought, okay, well, it's not a biodiverse roof, it's sedum and it's burning off. But we could wild this roof, we could put more biodiversity onto it. It'd be a great project for students. Then we found out that the structural engineer had only designed it to be built to load bear 150 kgs per square metre. And you need around 250 kgs for a biodiverse green roof. So it actually couldn't add nature to that roof because it was too lightweight. And this is what I've been about training biodiversity professionals. If we want green roofs, we need structural engineers and architects and landscape architects to do their job properly and to be briefed properly and be made to do their job and supported to do their job properly. So that's my role as well, to support people to do their job properly, by which I mean very strong encouragement. This is Benny Hawksby in the middle there, who's currently fighting the White Webs Park, Save the White Webs Park from development at the moment, standing next to the Darwin building. Would Darwin have enjoyed this kind of completely depleted, biodiversity depleted areas on campus? And where are the opportunities? Love a dam pipe that we can intercept. Most exciting thing I can ever see is an opportunity for a rain planter there. And then connections between universities, people and nature, communities and local organisations. So here on the right there, that's Natalie Isaac, who's head of sustainability at the University of London, which is the overarching federated university. There's 17 universities that sit under that, including UCL, King's, LSE, Birkbeck, SOAS, all the rest of it. So she came to me about 1.5 years ago and said, can you help us with our green infrastructure strategy? And we now have a whole team of people, including John and Dusty and Gary and others involved in that, but mostly it's about students and getting living labs going. So we're now working with the University of London. We've run 2 workshops this summer, and we have a delivery program that we've got to have at least started by the end of July, and we're going to deliver through August as well, on-site spaces where we can look at biodiverse habitat. So running design workshops with students, this is about empowering students. And you know, when you talk about empowering, it's not, I mean, people talk about engagement. Well, that's pointless. You have to empower people. You can't just engage with them. I mean, that's just having a conversation. That's basic politeness, isn't it? But empowering people. And when you talk about empowering students, it means giving over decision-making power. And then that means giving over money. And you must pay students to do things. You can't just say to people, oh, well, lucky you, you know, it's going to be on your CV. So they've got bills to pay as well, okay? And I'm being charged a huge amount of money for courses. So by the end of this summer, we will have a living lab delivered on campus around Senate House. And then next year, there's more to do. There are other spaces in central Bloomsbury that will be providing habitat. And those designs are being produced at the moment, so for this year. So that's all I wanted to say, really, is training the other end of the spectrum is as important as training the people who know about nature and biodiversity as training the people who don't, or who are just coming to it from a very different perspective. So thanks very much.